We are about to begin our next session, which is a book launch for the book August Voices by Sudhindra Kulkarni. The moderator for this session is Syed Jafar Ahmed. Syed Jafar Ahmed is a scholar and academic with a PhD from Cambridge University. He teaches government and politics, modern Indian history, research methodology and contemporary socio-political issues of Pakistan. He is presently the director of the Pakistan Study Center at the University of Karachi. Our guests today are Mr. Sudhindra Kulkarni, who is the chairman of the Observer Research Foundation. The Observer Research Foundation is a non-partisan public policy think tank in Mumbai. He is the author of several books, including Music of the Spinning Wheel, Mahatma Gandhi's Manifesto for the Internet Age. He has served as an aide to India's former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Our next guest is Matthew Cook. Matthew is a US-based historian and anthropologist. He holds a PhD in socio-cultural anthropology from Columbia. He is presently professor of South Asian and post-colonial studies at North Carolina Central University. His research focuses on the history and anthropology of South Asia, Sindh, and colonialism. He is the author of several books, including Annexation and the Unhappy Valley, Willoughby's Minute, Observing Sindh, and Interpreting the Sindhi World. Jafar Sahab.
Okay, ji, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You have heard about the members of the panel, and we will be discussing this book, August Voices, what they said on 14th, 15th August 1947, and its relevance for India, Pakistan, Bangladesh Confederation. Mr. Sudhindra Kulkarni, who is the author of this book, has a very interesting thesis. He says that when partition took place, there had been historical reasons, there had been political reasons behind it. A number of people were not happy with it, particularly the leadership of Congress was not happy with it. He also holds that perhaps Jinnah Sahib was also not very keen on partition of India, yet this happened. And when this happened, nobody had in mind that the two countries which were being created would stick to 1947, would continue to anchor in 1947, or as in a recent book written by Dilip Hairo, called The Longest August, that August of 1947 is not coming to an end. Now, how that can come to an end, another book, August Voices, tries to respond to that. Mr. Kulkarni thinks that the leadership at the helm of affairs in 1947 believe that the events have shaped this partition, but in future the two countries would come closer. Their politics has divided them, but their society would have the pressure, and the society has ingredients which would compel these two countries to come closer, and eventually they would learn to live in a framework. You can name that framework anything, but Mr. Kulkarni envisages that framework to be a confederation. So this is, I would say, the gist of this book. It's a very, very detailed, long book in which he has given full statements of Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Jawaharlal Nehru, Patel, Gandhi, so on and so forth. So I would be discussing the content of this book and other related themes with Mr. Cook and Mr. Kulkarni. First of all, while listening your profile, I realize that on the one hand, your book tells us that you are a Gandhian, right? But you have been serving Vajpayee, a BJP leader, a BJP prime minister. What is the connecting thread between Vajpayee, BJP on the one hand, and the Gandhian principles, so on and so forth?
Before I come to that question, I must spend just a couple of minutes expressing my gratitude to the Oxford University Press, the Karachi Literature Festival, especially Amina Syed ji, for inviting me. And I want to recognize here the presence of His Excellency Gautam Bambawale, our India's High Commissioner in Pakistan, and his gracious wife. It is 2017 is the 70th anniversary of Pakistan's independence and creation, and also India's independence. So I begin by saying that I pray for for Pakistan to remain united, stable, become prosperous, at peace with itself and peace with the world, and move in the direction of stronger democracy, stability. And I also pray for India and Pakistan to be blessed by the Almighty, to find a path towards reconciliation, peace, and good neighborliness. Friends, before I speak about my book, may I take just 1 minute to introduce one more book which is very pertinent to the festival and to what we are discussing. It's a small book. It's the first ever biography of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, a great social reformer in India and great scholar, and also one of the architects of Indian Constitution. And most of you perhaps won't know that this first ever biography of Dr. Ambedkar was written by a Karachikar in Marathi. It was published and printed in Karachi in 1946. So we reprinted it under our Mumbai-Karachi Friendship Forum early this year. I'm highlighting this just to draw your attention to one of the thousands of things that unite, connect India and Pakistan, Mumbai and Karachi, and reconciliation will happen if we discover and rediscover and strengthen all these bonds between India and Pakistan. Yes, I am hugely influenced by Mahatma Gandhi, and I would say that even our former Prime Minister Vajpayee was influenced by Gandhi because he was a man of peace. He made strenuous, sincere efforts for reconciliation, normalization between India and Pakistan. And I was fortunate to travel with him in the same peace bus from Amritsar to Lahore in 1999. Also, in 2004 for the Islamabad SAARC summit. And I do think that people like Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and there are many other leaders in Pakistan who want peace between our two countries. This is the way to go. There is no contradiction at all between the philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi and all the true nationalists of India and Pakistan. I'm told that Mahatma Gandhi is much misunderstood in Pakistan. I would like to just read one statement by Mahatma Gandhi just 4 days before he was assassinated on 30th January 1948. In his prayer meeting, he said that though geographically and politically India is divided in two, at heart we shall be friends and brothers, helping and respecting one another, and be one for the rest of the world. He went on to say, both India and Pakistan are my country. Both India and Pakistan are my country, and I'm not going to take out a passport or a visa to go to Pakistan. Though geographically and politically India is divided in two, at heart we shall be friends and brothers, helping and respecting one another, and be one for the outside world. This is what has inspired me to write this book, August Voices, and I shall say a little more about this book as we go on.
Right, thank you very much. Mr. Kulkarni, you have read the statement of Gandhi, and in your very book, there are statements of Quaid-e-Azam, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, saying the same things, showing good intentions about India, asking Indian Muslims who are left there to be loyal to India and Indian government. So, despite all these good intentions in the beginning, what happened? Why these two countries moved in a direction full of animosity and adverse relations? I may ask this question to Mr. Cook. First, you as a historian, what you think has been the major cause behind the adverse relations between India and Pakistan?
I don't want to sound too reductionist, because this is, of course, requires a very complex answer. I think probably one of the things I probably would like to focus on the issue is what the takeaway is in relationship to that question to Kulkarniji's book. I think one of the really important things that we can get from reading the book is this idea of how history can be used as a mechanism for building walls, invisible walls in some cases, sometimes not so invisible, between Pakistanis and Indians. And that this invisible wall, if you will, has obscured many of the commonalities that both Pakistanis and Indians share. And just to sort of be blunt about it, as someone who has traveled on both sides of the India-Pakistan border, it's very clear to anyone who has done that that the commonalities are striking. And in fact, while I know that there's been a sort of turn to the Gulf states and the Middle East and Pakistan, all right, we're back on. So while in the last 20, 30 years there's been a greater turn towards the Gulf states and the Middle East on the part of Pakistan, and there are historical relationships between Pakistan and those states, there's much greater commonalities with the subcontinent and with India than there is really with those areas. And anyone who's who gets off the plane, or at least when I get off the plane in Bombay or Karachi, one of the first things that I'm struck by in terms of the commonalities is they smell the same. Now, whether or not you like the smell or not is another issue, but there is a immediate recognition of the sort of geography and odors of these two locales that bring them together. And anyone who's traveled to Abu Dhabi knows when you get off the airplane, it doesn't smell like Karachi. So there are all kinds of commonalities, and to have an opportunity to, like this book, to, if you will, see and transgress those invisible dividing lines that in some cases history has produced, I think is an important opportunity. And I can say this, there's been a number of times I've witnessed this transgression of this invisible wall between Pakistanis and Indians. And I'll just give you a couple examples. I was in Karachi in 2011. I was actually going out to OUP in Korangi. And I came down to catch a car that Amina Saeed had sent me. And there was a chowkidar there. And I said, Salam alaikum. I said, Aap kaise bhai? He said, Wow, aap Urdu jante hain. And I said, Mujhe Hindi aati hai. And he said, Oh, maaf kijiye bhai, lekin main Hindi nahi janta hoon. I said, Lekin bhai, abhi hum Hindi bol rahe hain. And there was this moment where he realized there was this sort of connections that he hadn't been really aware of. And I've seen this happen a lot of times. When I mentor junior Pakistani scholars who come to the United States, for example, one of the first things, of course, is after they get off the airplane, I bring them home. I'm married to a Rajasthani, And so we bring out Chai, Desi Kana, this sort of stuff. And there's this eureka moment where the person realizes, the Pakistani scholar realizes that in fact the person with whom he or she has the most in common with in the room is actually the Indian, not the American. And there's this sort of realization that happens. And this book, I think, is important in the sense that it helps provide that kind of realization also, that there are these sets of continuities and connections that are sometimes been made invisible by the wall of history. And the fact that, focusing on what people actually said and did on the days that are focused on the book, I think is really an important way to show that these sorts of national identities are things that are created and that they are part of the historical construction. Yet at the same time, how you create them is in fact something that's the product of various kinds of choices that people make. And alternative kinds of choices can be made. Things are not set in stone. You can't go back and rewrite facts. But how you understand them and wield them and relate to each other in the present based on the facts of the past is something that's an ongoing construction that can in fact yield new kinds of relationships. They're not necessarily always stuck, if you will, to what was done in the past. So I think this book on a number of levels actually helps transgress those invisible walls that have unfortunately been put up in various different kinds of ways, I think, since partition. And I think I'll throw the questions back.
Thank you. Mr. Kulkarni, I'll ask you now that certain positive things have been mentioned, commonalities have been mentioned by Mr. Cook. If I ask you to identify what are the major hindrances in India-Pakistan relations?
One of the major hindrances is that we do not have a good comprehension of the history of our freedom movement, our common freedom movement, which was fought from Peshawar to Dhaka collectively. We have lost a proper understanding of that history. And even closer to 1947, nobody wanted the kind of partition that actually came about. There was a demand for partition, demand for the creation of Pakistan, no doubt. And even the word Pakistan, it came only in the last 7 years of the freedom movement. But before that, even the top ideologues or the leaders of the Pakistan movement were thinking of a very different kind of Pakistan. And let me here cite two absolutely revealing statements. Allama Iqbal is regarded, respected as a national poet of Pakistan. Of course, he's also almost a national poet of India because he has written the second popular anthem of India, Sare Jahan Se Acha Hindustan Hamara. Now in 1930, addressing the session of the All India Muslim League in Allahabad, he says that he wanted a Muslim India within India, a Muslim India within India. And he further affirmed that creation of a Muslim India within India would provide Islam an opportunity to rid itself of the stamp that Arab imperialism was forced to give it. He has used the word Arab imperialism, very pertinent to today's times. Let's see what Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah said. Just 2 months before the Lahore Resolution, that is in 1940, was adopted, Jinnah was still talking of India as the common motherland. Common motherland is his own words, of Muslims and Hindus. In his article, Time and Tide, published in London on 19 January 1940, Jinnah writes, I quote, "A constitution must be evolved that recognizes that there are in India two nations who both must share the governance of their common motherland. In evolving such a constitution, the Muslims are ready to cooperate with the British government, the Congress, and any other party so that the present enmities may cease and India may make its place amongst the great countries of the world. That India may emerge as a great country among the countries of the world. Which means, you please go into history. He has always used India as the common motherland and Hindustan and Pakistan as the two nations, which comes very close to my thesis about confederation. And I can cite many, many more instances where Jinnah's vision was that of a confederation between India and Pakistan.
Mr. Kulkarni, I'm sorry for interrupting you. We'll talk about it because the main thesis of your book is the main theme we are here to discuss about. What I wanted to know, where it went wrong. I mean, we have talked about the positive things, about the commonalities, good intentions of the leadership, Jinnah's overall vision about India. But then where it went wrong? I mean, why the two countries took the path of adversarial relations?
Two things went wrong. Firstly, that the creation of two nations was accompanied by the most horrendous bloodbath that humanity has seen, which was completely avoidable. And the main culprit here is the British Raj, the manner in which they divided this country and allowed panic to set in, and of course, we also contributed. Between 5 lakh to 10 lakh people died, 15 million people were displaced, and that has left a long, long trail of bitterness and lack of trust. This is one thing which is coming in the way of reconciliation. The other, we must admit, is Kashmir. We failed to resolve the Kashmir issue in 1947. And without going into all that has happened from 1947 to 2017, I would say that India and Pakistan should make Kashmir the bridge between our two countries and not see it as a barrier. Kashmir issue must be resolved by the two countries in such a way that it is acceptable to India, acceptable to Pakistan, and of course acceptable to the people of Kashmir. On the basis of humanism, as you know, since you mentioned Vajpayee ji, let me tell you that Vajpayee ji's mantra for resolving this issue was Insaniyat, Jamhuriyat, Kashmiriyat. Insaniyat sabse pehle, on the basis of humanism, justice, human rights for the people of Kashmir, and use of force in whatever form must be ended, both in India and the various other people that are using force. So let us not blame each other. Let us not apportion blame. Let us now apportion responsibility and solve this problem at the very earliest.
Thank you. Mr. Cook, as a student of history, I'm tempted to ask that, the Indian subcontinent saw a freedom movement in which certain leaders played pivotal role. Gandhi was one of them. Gandhi was professing non-violence. He is known for that, and all his life he had been preaching non-violence. And it appears that in Indian society there was acceptance of this message. But historians have now raised the question, and the subaltern historians have raised it, that was it not a very big paradox of Indian history that after decades of message of non-violence, the whole political struggle ended on the biggest violence of human history?
Mm-hmm. It is a deep irony of sorts. But the issue here is also the fact that any kind of political transformation is not just top-down in nature. Political transformations, to be successful, also have to be bottom-up. And Gandhi can espouse the ideology, talk about it, but you need to actually have play in at all levels of the society. And obviously, at all levels of society, that play-in was not there. for people to engage in the kinds of horrific acts, or to be able to suspend their belief in those things for those moments. So I think that one of the important things, and again, I think one of the things I need to laud Kulkarniji's book about, is he selects a wide variety of players. Yes, he talks about Gandhiji and Jinnah, but there are also some other characters who are not usually talked about in relationship to partition. And I think that that's really an important thing to do, because what you do is you show there's a much wider set of folks who have opinions on these things. Be they Faiz Ahmad Faiz, or Sri Aurobindo, or Swami Raghunathanda, or Ananda Kodaswami, these sorts of figures. So I think that one of the important things about this particular book is it sorts of moves the attention away just from big man history, away from Gandhi. Yes, you have to have that element, as well as Jinnah, but there are actually other important other players. There are other layers to the story, and I think that this book actually helps bring those out and give voice to them.
Thank you. Before we go for question answer session, I'll ask one more question to Mr. Kulkarni. You suggest that a recipe for the sort of reformation of everything in South Asia, or a peaceful India-Pakistan, is the creation of a confederation between Pakistan, India and Bangladesh. Keeping in view the experience of SARC, which somehow did not take off, how can we think about a confederation of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh?
It's a very good question. Before coming here, some Pakistani friends told me, don't ever use the word confederation in Pakistan. It will be misunderstood. It might be misunderstood as India wanting to, in some way, end the separate identity of Pakistan. No. When I say confederation, it is confederation of three countries, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, as three separate, independent, sovereign, equal countries. The equality of three countries, the identity, must be unalterable. But confederation, of course, is a distant goal. I am not in the least suggesting that it should be taken up now. Right now, what is the task before our three countries, especially between India and Pakistan? It is that we must end hostility. We cannot undo partition, not at all. But the negative effects of partition must be undone, and they can be undone. Let us resolve the Kashmir issue in a fair and just manner. And this is something which, please do not misunderstand me. We should understand your concerns, and you should understand India's concerns. India's genuine concern is terrorism. I come from Mumbai, and this is Karachi. I need not say anything more. What happened in 2008? For your own sake, and we applaud you for your struggle against terrorism, but take it even further and end all kinds of terrorism, whatever may be the cause. Now, once that happens, I assure you that SARC will get revived. We cannot go away from SARC. We are part of South Asia. We cannot imagine that we are part of America or Europe.
Right.
South Asia is our land, is our common land, and moreover, I have suggested in my book, and as an Indian, I want to say this because this is not very popular in India, that I support the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, of course, India's concerns should be taken into account. China-Pakistan Economic Corridor will bring much prosperity, much needed prosperity to Pakistan. But I have also suggested in my book that let China-Pakistan Economic Corridor become one of the corridors for several other infrastructural connectivities in South Asia, such as the Bangladesh, China, Myanmar, Bangladesh, India corridor, taken right up to China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, taken further to Afghanistan, Iran, let us have the vision and the dream of infrastructure and economic connectivity of the entire South Asia. Let's make South Asia a land of peace, a land of prosperity, a land of equal opportunity for all.
Thank you very much. I could have asked a number of other questions also, but I would like to open the floor now. But I will request the people to be very pointed, brief. This was the first hand which was raised. Apidaraj. Right. Excuse me. Yeah.
Mr. Kulkarni, thank you very much for coming to Pakistan and talking about. The SARC movement was started by the vision of Ziaur Rahman, General Ziaur Rahman of Bangladesh, who thought that this region has always been one region from Gupta's time to whatever time you talk about. And there's a need to get together again. And he talked about a region from Afghanistan to Bangladesh to Maldives. And that's how the movement started, from a very unlikely source of a journal. And then in 1998, we have signed the SAFTA agreement, which is like a framework for creating a common economic market similar to Europe, which restricts the total tariff to 5%. Don't you think that is good enough to implement the SAFTA agreement within the SARC to create a common market, create easy travel, whether it's Kashmir or anywhere? That could be a
Right.
good way to go
That's
instead
right.
of a confederation which you talk about.
Mr. Kulkarni.
I entirely agree with you that trade, investment, business, these are very powerful forces to bring India and Pakistan closer. The abysmally low trade between India and Pakistan of less than $2.5 billion is a very sad commentary on both our countries. We are so close. Lahore and Amritsar, only 70 kilometers. But what is the trade? Very little. Last year, I had gone to the border town between China and Myanmar. Myanmar is not a very developed country, yet the border trade between Myanmar and China is $10 billion, 4 times that of India, Pakistan. It is time our two governments made this a major point on agenda and remove all restrictions, unnecessary restrictions on enhancing trade. Because when trade enhances, there is trust, there is coming and going.
Right.
So I am all for SAFTA and the whole of South Asia becoming a trade zone.
Right. Thank you very much. Mr. Nurani, then you, sir, then Karama Saab, then Sergio, and after that you.
Sudhin, welcome to Pakistan. And in late 1980s, when we became friends, you were a die-hard Marxist and were trying to convert me. How come you suddenly became disenchanted with Marxism?
It's I would like to answer this only in relation to the subject of this session, and that is
briefly, okay.
Communism disenchanted me because communism, there is no place for religion and God in communism, and without God, without God's grace, nothing can be done. Secondly, the same communist Soviet Union became an imperial power and invaded Afghanistan, and that in many ways is the beginning of so many problems in this part of the world. And that is what disenchanted me, and that is what has strengthened my conviction that we must not allow any outside power to once again make South Asia the theater of their rivalry.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. Brief question, please.
Yes, 2 quick questions, sir. You said resolution of Kashmir dispute is very essential. Would you agree then that plebiscite as per UN resolutions is the only way to decide the Kashmir issue? 1. Second, I was wondering, why is there such a anti-Gandhi movement now in India these days for the past year, 2 years?
Thank you.
taking the second question first,
Yeah.
there is not a very, widespread anti-Gandhi movement. Of course, India is a free nation. We are a democratic society. There is freedom of expression, and people who have critical views on Mahatma Gandhi have equal freedom to air their views. And even those views must be respected and studied. While on Mahatma Gandhi, since I'm addressing the Pakistani audience, a very well-known Pakistani told me just 2 days ago when I went to meet him that Mahatma Gandhi is the first martyr to the cause of Pakistan. It is because of his hamdardi for Muslims and also for Pakistan that he was assassinated. Coming to the first question about Kashmir and the plebiscite, there are certain provisions of the plebiscite resolution. You're quite aware of those provisions. Now, if the resolutions are taken in their totality, it's my personal view that they are unimplementable today after 70 years. Right. That does not mean that we have no responsibility to resolve this problem. We have, and the same urgency must be shown. But I would say, let us be innovative while being just to the concerns of the Kashmiri people, whether they are on this side of the border or that side of the border.
Right. Mr. Karamat Ali.
Thank you. I'm Karamat Ali. I'm a founding member of the Pakistan-India People's Forum for Peace and Democracy. I have a question. Sorry, my throat is really bad. I have a question and a comment. My question is about Mahatma Gandhi's proposed visit to Pakistan. I was in India in 2002 and on the 30th of January, and we were taken to the house where Gandhiji was assassinated. And there were a few people who were together with Gandhiji in 1948. And they narrated this to us, saying that Gandhiji was very upset about the Holocaust that took place, and he contacted Quaid-e-Azam, and he requested that he should be allowed to come to Pakistan and stay there for at least a year and try to mitigate the impact of the violence that had erupted. And Jinnah Sahab agreed to that. And that was the reason why the RSS people plotted to assassinate Gandhiji. I have not seen that written anywhere, so my question is, how correct is this?
Is this recorded or not?
Yeah.
Karamat Sahab, I would request you to just confine to the question because I am told that we are finished with time.
Yeah. My question is over. My comment is only about your insistence on using this concept of confederation. I think we have already traveled quite a bit on the route to a South Asian Union, and we should really focus on that, because a confederation has very serious misunderstandings about the concept in Pakistan, not because you are proposing it, but it has been proposed earlier regarding to the internal issues in Pakistan. So right. I would really suggest that we should focus on a South Asian Union, which is possible. A lot of work has been done, and we should really try to move forward on that.
Thank you, Karamat Sahab. And just answer to the question, if the proposed visit of Mr. Gandhi to Pakistan, is it recorded anywhere?
First of all, I want to salute peacemakers like you in Pakistan. May your community expand, and similarly the community of peacemakers in India expand, and together let us make it a very strong force for peace. Regarding your specific question, I would like to mention that 15th August 1947, when India became independent, where was Mahatma Gandhi? He was not in New Delhi, the capital, to participate in the celebrations. He wanted to go to Noakhali in East Pakistan, because Pakistan had already come into being. Noakhali to douse the flames of communal violence. But the people in Calcutta, and especially the Muslim leaders in Calcutta, insisted that you stay back in Calcutta, you can go to Noakhali later, because the situation in Calcutta is far worse. And among the people who prevailed upon him was none other than Shahid Hussain Suhrawardi, who later became Pakistan's Prime Minister. Mahatma Gandhi made Suhrawardi his partner in his mission to extinguish the flames of communal violence in Calcutta. He went on a fast, and ultimately a miracle happened, and the word miracle in Calcutta has become part of the history of Calcutta. On 15th August 1947, the same Hindus and Muslims who were at each other's throats, they started saying Hindu-Muslim Ekta Zindabad. And for this, Lord Mountbatten called Mahatma Gandhi one-man boundary force. One man who brought peace on the eastern side. Otherwise, much of what happened on the western side, that is Holocaust on Punjab, might have happened in Bengal.
Right.
But he did not stop there. He wanted to come to Pakistan. He has communicated this to Quaid-e-Azam Jinnah, and I think I have no particular reference, but Jinnah Sahab must have wanted him to come. And Jinnah Sahab himself wanted to go back to India. So nobody thought that, partition would create a wall. Jinnah Sahab wanted to go back to Bombay. So let us therefore go back to our history, learn the lessons of history. The first sentence, friends, in my book is a line from Qurratullain Haidar, a great figure in history, Urdu literature. She says, history is another name for humanity's inability to learn its lessons. History is another name for humanity's inability to learn its lessons. Let us prove Qurratullain Haidar wrong, that we have learned the lessons of history, and Qurratullain Haidar would be very happy wherever she is, that we have learned the lessons of history and come together as equal, separate nations, but in good neighborliness.
Right. We are almost totally, time has finished, but I had, excuse me, sir, I had, yes, I promised you, and you just ask it. Kindly be brief.
Yes, thank you, Kulkarni Sahab. This is just one question. In 1947, Pakistan and India did a mistake, and Kashmir issue has not been. Till today, 70% of the India and Pakistan budget is going on defense. So who will bail the cat? India and Pakistan at loggerheads with each other. You have seen last year's skirmishes on different borders. So who will bail the cat? Will CPEC, third party, or what? Who will bail the cat? Issues.
Okay, thank you.
We have to bail the cat. No one else can come and resolve this issue for us. It is our responsibility. We are inheritors of a great civilization, a common civilization. We are also two countries, as Dr. Matthew Cook was saying, we are united by so many commonalities, and one of the strongest commonalities, bonds, friends, is religion. Whether it is Islam or Hinduism, Sikhism, Buddhism, all religions, their first lesson to humanity is peace and reconciliation. So let us learn lessons from religions, from our culture, and it is indeed possible to end the problem in Kashmir and the problem between India and Pakistan.
Well, thank you very much. The time has finished. I'm told that we should wind it up. I thank Dr. Cook and Mr. Kulkarni for a very open discussion here on this book. And I hope that the august voices would be heard, and the people responsible for making policies in India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh would take to a wiser course and try to make subcontinent a peaceful place. Thank you very much.
Ladies and
last thing, the book
gentlemen,
is available. The book is available
Mr.
for sale in the
Kulkarni's
bookshops.
book, there's some copies available at the entrance of this hall for sale, and they are also available at the Oxford Book Fair stall. Thank you.